Today I'm going to interview Daniel Ramos to speak on the 2010 Toyota PR crisis. Toyota's reputation took a major hit in the 2010 recall fiasco. Do you think the corporate structure was realigned to address the lack of communication and slower response to the unintended acceleration problems?
Well, it definitely, like the popularity of Toyota definitely took a hit during that time. I do know, someone did get hurt during that time, and that's really what kind of raised the question on are they providing accurate information as far as that acceleration problem. Um, so yeah, it did take a huge corporate hit, but their model is moving forward. So I think with that vision in place, I think they definitely have taken measures into improving the quality of customer service as well as the quality of automobiles that they make. I purchased a car in 2014, a Toyota Prius, and I'm happy with that purchase. So, I feel that they've definitely have been making strides into improving their relevancy with other automobile companies. Um, but the biggest problem was the fact that they didn't get that information out in a timely manner and get those situations resolved before an accident had occurred.
Can you tell me about the crisis Toyota had back in 2010? Can you give me your background and personal experience in dealing with the Toyota crisis?
Back in 2010, I was aware of the situation Toyota had with dealing with automobiles basically accelerating on their own. So we did get a recall letter. During that time, I did own a 2009 Toyota Corolla Sport black. I really liked the car, but when we took it into the dealer, they didn't find anything wrong with the automobile. So um, that it wasn't a problem that we had to deal with necessarily.
Toyota is known for making safe and reliable cars. Can you tell me what steps Toyota took in order to remedy the problem and build consumer confidence?
So during that time, one of the things that they did, of course, they sent the recall letters. Once we found out that there was no problem with our car specifically, I do know that the other owners they got their gas pedals replaced so that they can alleviate that situation, and they did that at no cost. But for our specific situation, I know they didn't have to do any type of service.
So now tell me about your perception of Toyota before the crisis and did it change after?
Before I never had a problem with Toyota in regards to purchasing an automobile or anything that they've felt. I felt that they didn't tell us about their cars. After the situation, it did take me a little bit of time to after I got into the market of wanting to purchase another automobile, I did balance through possibly purchasing a different type of automobile that wasn't a Toyota model. But for the most part, it was just during that time, and since it didn't really affect my car, it didn't weigh too heavily on making me choose whether to buy a car with them or not. Again.
From the time Toyota sent out the recall notice to fix all vehicles with potential problem to present day, do you think the delay in releasing the sudden unintended acceleration issue affect consumer confidence? If so, how?
Um, I think it did affect it. Like I said, for me personally, it didn't present a. I didn't lose much of, if any, confidence in Toyota, but I'm pretty sure it did affect other consumers in which it affected, especially those that were actually, that dealt with either an accident or getting pulled over by a police officer because they were accelerating. But it being nowadays, I think a delay in it would definitely affect the confidence just because social media and news outlets it being just so accessible for people to not get that information in a timely manner would definitely affect that.
Do you feel like Toyota could have responded faster to the problem? What steps would you take to ensure the crisis is handled in a timely manner?
Well, based off of the information from what occurred, again, it didn't necessarily affect me as a consumer during that time. But I feel like withholding the information from the consumer and not acknowledging that it was a problem and then going through the process of sending the recall letters, I think you can lose a potential customer due to that. Now, like I mentioned before, having the social media. You have Toyota has access to Twitter, has access to Facebook, things like that. You're able to get that information to the consumer much quicker and be able to get those automobiles off the roads because they are a potential hazard. But I feel like what they can do now is definitely use social media as something to get information now, especially with the younger consumers.
Despite the crisis Toyota had in 2010, do you feel like they took the essential steps to protect their consumers from potential problems in the future?
I'm gonna say yes. They sent out the recall letters, also replaced any type of faulty equipment that were in the automobiles, and if it presented a problem where the automobile had to get replaced, they did so. So I feel like they did. Again, was it done in a timely manner is really up to however the consumer feels about that. But for the most part, it being something that didn't affect me as much, where none of my equipment on my previous automobile had to get replaced, and it wasn't a problem for me.
Now, I'm going to interview Jessica. Now that you've heard about the incident Toyota had, would you feel safe purchasing a Toyota vehicle in the future?
Now that I know, I would definitely think twice before, would have thought twice before purchasing the Toyota vehicle.
Toyota is known for making safe and reliable cars. Can you tell me what steps Toyota took in order to remedy the problem and build consumer confidence?
They sent out letters to people to let them know about the recall, and then they also fixed all the problems that the vehicles had.
Tell me about your perception of Toyota before the crisis and did it change after?
Before that, I always thought of them as safe and reliable cars, and now that I know about the crisis, I think twice about it and don't really feel like they are the safest cars out there.
From the time Toyota has sent out all the recall notice to fix all the vehicles with this potential problem to present day, do you think the delay in releasing the sudden unintended acceleration issue affect consumer confidence? If so, how?
Yes, I think because Toyota took longer than usual to respond to the problem, it makes me feel that they don't care enough about their consumers to look into things as fast as possible.
Do you feel like Toyota could have responded fast to the problem? What steps would you take to ensure the crisis is handled in a timely manner?
Yes, Toyota could have responded faster, and I think they should have took longer testing out their vehicles before putting them out for the consumers to purchase them.
Despite the crisis Toyota had back in 2010, do you feel that they took the essential steps to protect their consumers from potential problems in the future?
I think they did do a good job because of all the letters they sent out and the recalls that they did on the cars. But I feel like in the future they should have done it faster in order to prevent any fatal tragedies.
Toyota's reputation took a major hit with the 2010 recall fiasco. Do you think the corporate structure was realigned to address the lack of communication and slow response to the unintended acceleration problems?
I think they did fix their whole corporate structure and communication and response time because the recalls we have heard from them, we don't hear any tragedies that follow.
I am going to be interviewing Marta. Can you tell me about the crisis Toyota had back in 2010? Can you give me your background and personal experience in dealing with the Toyota crisis?
I don't have a Toyota. I don't have a background with Toyota. I never been interested in those vehicles, and I don't think I will ever.
Toyota's reputation took a major hit with the recall fiasco. Do you think the corporate structure was realigned to address the lack of communication and slow response to the unintended acceleration problems?
There is always something that you can learn about a crisis. In this case, they need to be ready before anything happens. That way, it won't catch them by surprise.
Now that you've heard about the incident that Toyota had, would you feel safe purchasing a Toyota vehicle in the future?
No, now that I know about the crisis, it gives me another reason why I should never get one.
Tell me about your perception of Toyota before the crisis and did it change after?
I have always heard that they were safe on commercials and magazines, but now that I heard about this, it's very contradicting.
Toyota is known for making safe and reliable cars. Can you tell me what steps Toyota took in order to remedy the problem and build consumer confidence?
I believe they did an okay job informing their clients, but they should have done a better job inspecting their vehicles.
From the time Toyota has sent out all the recall notices to fix all vehicles with this potential problem to present day, do you think the delay in releasing the sudden unintended acceleration issue affect consumer confidence? If so, how?
It should have affected the consumer confidence. If I have a Toyota, I will think about how many more problems I might have in the future.
Do you feel like Toyota could have responded faster to the problem? What steps would you take to ensure the crisis is handled on a timely manner?
Well, honestly, it is hard to respond fast because there are so many vehicles and customers, but as long as they get the information out before there is another tragedy, it will be a win-win situation.
Despite the crisis Toyota had, do you feel like they took the essential steps to protect their consumers from potential problems in the future?
I believe they did, but they should test their vehicles longer before they put them out on the market.
I'm going to interview Selena. Can you tell me about the crisis Toyota had back in 2010? Can you give me your background and personal experience in dealing with the Toyota crisis?
All I know is that they were dealing with unintended acceleration and it did not affect me because I had just purchased a Jeep.
Now that you heard about the incident that Toyota had back in 2010, would you feel safe purchasing a Toyota vehicle in the future?
I would still feel safe if I ever purchased a Toyota vehicle. I did own a Toyota Corolla for 6 years and it was reliable and safe.
Toyota is known for making safe and reliable cars. Can you tell me what steps Toyota took in order to remedy the problem and build consumer confidence?
So I know that they sent letters to the people that were affected, but I also like the fact that they sent letters to the people previous so that they were informed as well.
Tell me about your perception of Toyota before the crisis, and did it change after?
I'm a bit disappointed with how long they took to send out the recall letters. A month is way too long because it could have resulted in more than one tragedy. Toyota was fortunate that it didn't.
From the time Toyota has sent out all the recall notices to fix all vehicles with this potential problem to present day, do you think the delay in releasing the sudden unintended acceleration issue affects consumer confidence? If so, how?
It did because it affected me and I don't have a Toyota car anymore. Next time something happens, I hope they release information out sooner than later. Their actions will reflect on my decision when I'm on the market for a new vehicle.
Do you feel like Toyota could have responded faster to the problem? What steps would you take to ensure the crisis is handled in a timely manner?
The faster the better whenever something bad happens. So to answer your question, yes, I would do the same thing Toyota did. I would send out a letter as soon as the recall was approved. I would make sure to hire extra employees to accommodate each car at an appropriate, timely manner.
Despite the crisis Toyota had back in 2010, do you feel like they took the essential steps to protect their consumers from potential problems in the future?
Yeah, I believe they made the right steps.
Toyota's reputation took a major hit with the 2010 recall fiasco. Do you think the corporate structure was realigned to address the lack of communication and slow response to the unintended acceleration problems?
I hope it was realigned. Like I mentioned before, they should hire more people in the PR department to get out faster information to the public.